episode 26, season finale, Death and Rebirth. We have reached the end of Young Justice. And it's your boy Icon with some DC TV. And I'm very excited. And a lot of you probably know why. But I'm also excited to know that I was right about 90, like this episode basically, crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. And I was 90% right about everything that I predicted, except for one thing. But that doesn't mean I was wrong either, but we'll get to that in the end. So, in this particular, let's just start right out the gate. So, General Zod, he's telling Superboy, because, Superboy got Superman in the chokehold, and he's telling Superboy, he's like, prove your worth to the House of Zod and kill Superman. And he's telling the public, he's just like, oh, Lord Zod is about to become your new ruler. Do your duty, Superboy, kill the Superman. Then that's when Connor's mind starts coming back a little bit. He starts replaying moments throughout the course of Young Justice history, with him meeting the Kent family for the first time, in season 1 when Superman was like, oh, Connor can't suit you, all these things and everything. And then towards the end, he decided not to kill Superman because he was just like, I can't kill him because he's family. Meanwhile, back in the North Pole at the Fortress of Solitude, we find out that McGann and the rest of the gang, they aren't dead, because they McGann and the girl from the Legion of Superheroes, they used their mind powers together to create an illusion that made the Zods think that they were dead, which means that the Zods were in no way, shape, or form using their super hearing to test people's heartbeats, but the illusion worked. And then they said that Superman, he stood up to sell the illusion, and then that's how they got him, and then everything. So then when that happened, when we saw that everybody was alive, guess who came out of the Fortress of Solitude? Nightwing came out of the Fortress of Solitude, thank God. He's not dead. And when he came out of the fortress, McGann saw him, and then Nightwing and McGann compared notes throughout the course of the entire season. And then when she asked him, she was like, oh, what happened to you? You're not dead, what happened? He said, I got knocked into the ice thing. And then he said, I used an old wrestling trick, which I thought was hilarious. He said, I used an old wrestling trick to cut myself to make it seem like I was injured more than I was. And then she said, what about your heartbeat? He said that was an old Batman trick that he used to slow down and stop his heartbeat. And I said that in the last episode when I was afraid for this man's life. I literally said, it better be a situation where he learned some Batman trick to stop his heart from beating. And I was right. And I'm also happy about this too. I'm happy that when McGann and Nightwing were comparing notes back and forth, and she found out that the entire team, the entire OG team, was in the Phantom Zone, and they went into the Phantom Zone and tried to get Calder. I am so glad she did not make a big deal over the fact that they didn't tell her, because that would have annoyed me. I hate the whole thing where it's like there's a crisis going on, and then one character wants to take a moment out of the crisis to be like, oh, you should have told me. I'm glad she didn't do it. She was like, look, she was just like, well, shit. She said, y'all were better than me because y'all were in the Phantom Zone trying to save Connor. My white ass was on the outside of the Phantom Zone, and I was trying to save her. And that whole scene was very cool, the comparison. So then now, we got to get to Metropolis, and we got to save everybody. They mentioned Rocket, that Rocket was gone, but then, then McGann was just like, we'll mourn her later. I was like, really? Then they go back to Metropolis, and right when Superboy had decided that he wasn't going to kill Superman, General Zod said, fine, we'll use this kryptonite, and then we'll kill them both right here in front of everybody. Kid Flash shows up, he takes the kryptonite, and then that's when the bus shows up, with Calder, with Zatanna, and then with Artemis, and then now this whole big fight happens until the rest of the team shows up. And there were a lot of good conversations there. Nightwing had a conversation with McGann on the bioship, because baby bioship showed up to help get everybody from the North Pole back to Metropolis. Nightwing had said to McGann, he said, listen, I know in season 1 we were talking about, season 2, we were talking about you not using your powers for evil, but this is a different situation. This is Kryptonians, and they're going to kill everybody. He's like, so I need, he said, you're a ray of sunshine with a demon trapped inside, and we need the demon if we going to win this fight. So then everybody came out, Zatanna was fighting, General Zod's mama, Lord Zod's mama, she was using the eye thing, everything was going around, it was all crazy. There was a funny line, with Nightwing and Tigress, where they were fighting, because after a while, General Zod, he told Malifaux to open the portal to the Phantom Zone so his army can come out. the black girl came out along with some other like big buff dude. Nightwing and Tigress were fighting the big buff dude, and Nightwing's whole thing was he said, like, listen, we have to stop them before the sun comes up, because once the sun comes up, then we're screwed. And then she was just like, then he said to Tigress, he said, we really got to take this guy out because before he gets super Kryptonian powers. And she looking at him like, yo, he's already tearing up streets and punching holes in walls. What do you mean before? And then and then he had said to Calder, he was like, we need you to keep Lord Zod distracted. And he was like, what do you think I'm trying to do? And it was all very cool. And then McGann, she was flying throughout the whole thing, brain blasting everybody. And then they switched dance partners at one point. McGann actually brain blasted Zod Mama, and then like she took the power from her. She even stopped the eye, which I thought was crazy. Like the eye stopped, and then she went over to Connor. She gave Connor the mind touch, and then she remembered who he was, and then Connor was back to normal. And then that's when we had the moment where Connor and Superman confronted Lord Zod and General Zod. General Zod actually apologized to his son. He was like, I should have respected your knowledge of the future, my son. And then that was a dope scene to get the House of Zod versus the House of El, because they were like for Krypton, and then the El was like for Earth. And I'm sorry, like, and this is very personal to me. I mean, for the love of God, I was named after Superman's daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like my actual, my closest friends, and people on, my friends on YouTube, like you guys all call me Icon, but my actual real first name is Jarrell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was literally named after the House of El. And I love the House of El. I respect the House of El. But I gotta be honest, I was kind of fucking with Lord Zod and them in this episode. Like, the House of Zod was looking pretty gangster, but in the end, like they couldn't take down that. And that was a cool moment too, because when Superboy and Superman had defeated both of them, they were just like, when you were on Krypton, you should have known to never mess with the House of El. And I was like, yeah. And then they knocked him out. And then everybody started getting, Danny, who was inside the Kaiser Thrall, like, he was there. He created the boom tubes and then they started sending everybody back into the Phantom Zone. Like General Zod got thrown back in, like the two people from his army got thrown back in. Malifaux got thrown back in. And right before Malifaux got thrown back into the Phantom Zone, Miss Martian said to him, she was like, you wanted my boyfriend to die. And then he was like, no. And then like she blasted him into the thing. There was a funny moment where Lord Zod was actually getting the better of Connor, and then Miss Martian came out of nowhere and brain blasted him, and she was like, stop trying to kill my man, because he's been trying to kill him since like episode 1. And so that was cool. So they got everybody into the Phantom Zone. Rocket showed up, like Rocket helped get everybody back to safety, and she came in a time spear. And then we find out that, because I said she wasn't dead either, we find out that she said that her force bubble protected her when when the portal closed. But she said that she actually ended up in Metron's lair, because Metron was the one that pulled her out. And then Metron gave her a time spear that he fixed from previous, and she used the time spear to get back to this exact moment so she can help her friends take down the House of Zod. Lord Zod ended up taking the time sphere. He jumped in the time sphere and he disappeared. And then we find out that when he disappeared, Metron did this on purpose. He set the coordinates for Rocket to go back to Metropolis to be with her friends. He knew, or at least he hoped, Lord Zod was going to steal the time sphere, which he did. And he had the coordinates preset to take Lord Zod back to the moment where Superboy was in the lava and the bomb exploded and killed him. When Lord Zod got there, he was just like, wait, the controls, I can't control the controls. And then he was like, wait a minute, but I know where I am. He's like, I'm getting another chance, to kill the Superboy. And then as soon as he left the time sphere, it disappeared. And then after the time sphere disappeared, then Lord Zod was like, well, screw it, I'm just going to kill the Superboy. And then when he went over, that's when the bomb went off, and it actually killed Lord Zod. So now Lord Zod is dead. But no, when his mom was defeated, the Eye woke up, and the Eye basically snatched up his mom and dipped. Like, the Eye took her off the planet because he was like, bitch, we gotta go. And then, but then when she was in outer space, and she said to the Eye, she was like, thank you for saving me. And then she was like, I will avenge the House of Zod. And then she touched her stomach, and then she said, I will raise this child in the name of the House of Zod. Because like I kept saying before, Lord Zod, and again, we never saw the conversation, but they never told. But I mean, obviously, I guess it happened off camera because she touched her stomach. Lord Zod never actually said to the two of his parents that, hey, I'm currently in the womb, like being born. But I guess somehow she knew. Maybe the eye told her, whatever. So now and then she went straight to Daxam. Like, because the Legion of Superheroes, they even said that when you freed, like the House of Zod in the 31st century, they took over Daxam, and then they went straight to my planet, and they immediately started taking over the world. That bitch went straight to Daxam. She went straight to Daxam. So that's going to be a problem. And she's going to become a mom. She's going to birth her kid. She's going to raise her kid. And then she's probably going to come back at the end of season 4 with her kid probably like 2 or 3 years old. And then she's just like, now everybody will kneel for the House of Zod. So that's crazy. They even had a conversation talking about freeing the House of Zod from the Phantom Zone. Calder did say, he said that they finished their sentences. He said it's morally wrong to keep them there. But then everybody was like, yeah, but once you let them out, they're going to try to take over. And then that's when Superman, well, it was Orion. He said that, it was either Superman or Orion. One of them said that the planet that they were on that had a red sun, he said, what if we let them out of the Phantom Zone and leave them on that planet? This way they can build their own community. They can, like build their own, like whatever. And then we don't have to worry about them. And he said the Green Lantern Corps, can watch over them or whatever. And even and speaking of the Green Lantern Corps, good old Forager, like, because I guess having Forager in this fight would have been an overpowering situation for the good guys. Like, the fight would not have been a struggle had Forager been there. So when the bioship crashed, they were like, oh, Forager's knocked unconscious. It's like, well, that's a good way to get her out of the fight. But anyway, so they were saying that, yeah, they said that they're going to, after McGann and, Connor's wedding, they said they were going to go back into the Phantom Zone, and they were going to release, General Zod and them on that red sun planet to make sure they don't have Kryptonian, Kryptonian superpowers. So then that says after that, so everybody's happy, like the gang's all here, Black Canary and them show up at the last second. And like Connor said he was feeling the Aster, which I thought was funny. And then we go to the wedding. Batman was at the wedding. And he didn't look happy about it for some reason. Icicle was at the wedding. Icicle Jr. was at the wedding. I have no idea why Icicle Jr. was at their wedding. And, like the whole damn cast was there. And that was cool to see. And then, like they got married. And then, once they got married, like Icicle Jr. caught the bouquet for some reason. And then everything is happy and marital bliss. Brainy came from the future to retrieve his Legionnaires. And then they went back to the future. And then, Superboy was just like, well, why was that so important? And then she was like, you'll see. Superman knows, but he don't want to tell him because he's a Boy Scout. And then, I said, after that, everybody danced and everything was cool and blah, blah, blah. And the season's over and we're all happy now. So that was what we thought the end of the episode was. And I was very cool about that. I was very happy to see that. But when I was talking about the whole thing with Wally, unfortunately, the one prediction I did make was Wally coming out of the Phantom Zone. First of all, I wasn't wrong about the Wally prediction. If anything, I was wrong about the Wally prediction for this season. Because we also find out that Clarion, along with Vandal Savage and the rest of the Light, they used a spell to basically raid the Phantom Zone. Like, Clarion got Warworld in the Phantom Zone, and they just kidnapped all the Kryptonians. Every time somebody went through the portal back into the Phantom Zone, like, they snatched them up. And then we saw, like, those chrysalis gel, like, prisons. That shit was full of Kryptonians. Kryptonians out the ass. And then they said that, Darkseid did something for them. And they said that Darkseid was gracious, to let us keep all these Kryptonians. All he asked in return was for the Kryptonian and the Martian. And then I guess for Malifaux, like, his reward, because they said that it wasn't your fault, Lord Zod failed. So Darkseid's going to keep his promise and give you what you wanted, which was your own planet for the White Martians to build their own colony. So I guess, like, he's off. I don't see him coming back now, because if he got his own planet and he can take all the White Martians to that planet, then I was just like, why should you come back? Like, he should just live on that Earth, and then that's it for him. But they said that they were supposed to give one of the Kryptonians to Darkseid. And this is where it got interesting, because we then fast forward to Apocalypse. And when we get to Apocalypse, they were saying that, yes, there are new members of the Fatal Furies, of Granny's Furies. And they said one of them used to be a member of the Shazam family, but because they turned their back on her and left her for cold and left her for dead, she's now decided to join them. And then they called her Black Mary. And I was like, wow. Yeah, you know, like we went from Black Adam to Black Mary. And I'm like, this turncoat ass bitch. But we find out that in the end of the Zatanna storyline, when Mary was crying in the alley and that voice was talking to her, is telling her, say the words, child, say it. That was Granny Goodness basically talking her down, like talking her to the dark side. She said the words, and Mary even said that Black Mary, apparently, she was a loose cannon anyway. So it wasn't hard for Granny Goodness to bring her over to the dark side, quote unquote. And so now, and the fact that they call her Black Mary is hilarious. There's a joke here somewhere, and I need to find it. But then the cool part about it is they said that the other Kryptonian that we found was someone who was trapped in the Phantom Zone for over 30 years, and it was what were their names? It was the House of Zor-El's family, Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. And I'm like, I knew this chick was in the damn Phantom Zone. Like, I said that in the last episode. Like, I said that not only is Wally coming out of the Phantom Zone, but Supergirl's coming out of there as well. They done pull her ass right out of the Phantom Zone, and I knew that was going to happen, and I'm hyped for this because now, you know, like, we're getting Superman, we're getting Superboy. I mean, well, we already got Johnny, but now Supergirl's going to be in the fold, and this is going to be crazy. The only thing that we didn't get, unfortunately, was the Wally reveal, but I guess they didn't want to reveal everything too soon. My guess is if Vandal Savage raided the Phantom Zone and basically took everyone out of the Phantom Zone, Wally is probably somewhere in one of those gel matrix cases. And next season, because Savage is obviously going to brainwash all these people to do his bidding, and he's most likely going to brainwash Wally as well, and then Wally's going to be a part of it, and then the team's going to have to save Wally. Like, the whole thing with Wally was they're saving him for next season. But my prediction still holds. Like, although I was wrong about this season, my prediction still holds up that Wally West was pulled out of the Phantom Zone and he's returning to Young Justice. And that, like I said, that was cool. And thank you for tuning in. So, like, this, like, I mean, you know what? For all the people on social media, for all the people on YouTube that were talking trash about this show, you know, I didn't watch the video, but I saw a video title where somebody called it woke justice, and then somebody was like, oh, I'm done with this show, whatever. It's like, it is not that serious. You know, the show is, show is the shit. like this show is good. If same-sex couples bother you, then it's just like, well, hey, you know, like, then maybe you're not it's like, it shouldn't bother you to that point where it's like, oh, I'm gonna refute the entire genre just for like one thing. It's like, it's not that serious, people. Like, Young Justice is the shit, and we need to acknowledge the fact that Young Justice is the shit. And most of those people that do things like that, like, they're just trying to get clickbait anyway. They want you to just click on their video because people like to hear people talk negative about things, and I'm not here for that. I mean, I'll say something's bad when it's bad, but I'm not going to do a video just to purposely trash something because people just want to hear me trash something for the sake of trashing something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love me some Young Justice. I love me some DC TV. And I am looking forward to a Young Justice season 5, which is going to get Supergirl, Black Mary, and hopefully the return of Wally West. So share your thoughts below. Like, let me know what you thought about this entire season, breaking it up to the OGs, you know, like the original Young Justice gang. What do you think about Black Mary? What do you think about Supergirl? The fact that I predicted 90% of this episode, you know, Lord Zod, who's about to be reborn again in his mama, who now has the eye of Magamoto, or whatever they call it. Where share your thoughts, your questions, comments, and concerns, where we go from here, and shit, when we get into season 5. And if you're excited for season 5, like I said, just put your stuff in the comment section and we can continue to talk about it. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram, always on YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and or concerns. I am going to Brooklyn Con. As I record this video, it is Friday, June 10th. Saturday, June 11th, I will be at Brooklyn Con. So like I said, if you see me, if you happen to be at Brooklyn Con and you recognize me from a YouTube channel, just walk on up to me, say hello. You know, like, I love to meet anybody, you know, who happens to be a subscriber to my channel, so I can say what's up and thank you for your viewership, because you are loved and appreciated. So thank you for tuning in, guys. Yeah, so Young Justice is in the book. We got some other stuff coming up on the channel because Superman and Lois has 2 episodes left. The Flash has 3 episodes left, and Marvel just started Miss Marvel, so I'm going to review Miss Marvel as well, as we wait for Doom Patrol and other DC stuff to come out in the weeks and months to come, because like I said, DC is my home and I'm glad to share this house with you guys. So thanks for tuning in as always. So till next season for some more Young Justice action. Look out for Black Mary, look out for Supergirl, look out for the House of Zod and respect the House of El. And until then, guys, I'm out this bitch.